Hello. I'm making a video about society and all of these emotions and all of that stuff that's going on that I constantly think about, and when I wake up think about this all the time. And today I woke up remembering a party in Santa Monica. My friend Michelle had invited me to the party. That was when was that? 1997 or 1998. Something like that, I think. And I went over there with my bicycle, and I chained my bicycle up on the fence. I walked over to her gate, and there were people in that front yard partying and talking to each other, and there was this older guy, French guy, friend of hers, and he came right up to me before I was even coming into the gate, before I even opened that gate. He came right up to me. I stood in front of the gate, and he said, "Who are you?" in a real cold tone. And I was really shocked and hurt about this coldness. And I said, "I'm a friend of Michelle's. She invited me to her birthday party." And then really reluctantly, then he said, "Wait there. I'm going to go and find her, and I'm going to ask her if she knows you." And I was so hurt by that, by this coldness towards me, and this disrespect and this distrust also. That was one of the traumatic events for me psychologically in my life, and there are many of those types. And I was dressed nice and well. I was clean. I wore good clothes, sporty, because I was riding my bicycle, but I wore good clothes. I could not figure out why he would be treating me with such suspicion and such coldness. So I could never figure this out. And then so she finally came over to the gate and opened the gate and greeted me. But she wasn't very warm to me at all. She tried to be. She tried to welcome me, but she wasn't very warm. And if this happened today, I would first of all, the very first thing that I would do is I would ask that guy, "What's the matter? What's going on? Why are you so cold to me? Why do you treat me with such coldness?" How do I deserve that? So, and then I would ask Michelle, "What's going on? What is it? You act like you're not happy that I came to your birthday party. I had a present for her and everything. What's going on? Let's talk about this. Let's talk about it. If you want me to leave, I will leave. Okay? But we can talk about this. Tell me honestly what you're thinking." And then if she doesn't tell me, then I would tell her, "This makes me very sad. This makes me cry. I'm very, very infinitely sad about this. I thought we were friends. I'm going home and I leave you alone. I'm not gonna bother you again. Take care. So, and then I would go home and I would sit with that and I would confront myself with that, and I would, instead of thinking, oh, I should have put more makeup on, or I should have worn this shirt instead of that, or I should have come with a taxi, I should have worn a dress, or I should have taken this purse instead of the backpack, instead of, worrying about all these external type of things, which most people do. So they try to blame everything on appearance. Obviously, not everything is based on appearance. Okay? If we pay close attention, we can clearly see this. So there may have been other things involved emotionally, that maybe things that she couldn't talk about, things that would have been too personal or too embarrassing for her to talk about. Maybe there were emotions that she was dealing with that somehow that I triggered in some way. Okay, so maybe some painful stuff, maybe some, I don't know what it is. I'm not gonna even mention any specific emotion. So, but something that had to do with her and not with me. So, but instead of thinking like, oh, what could have done better, or I didn't do this, or like blaming me for this, or which my mother always did, and she would always say to me, when I was bullied, what did you do to bring that on? Even as a child, she would do something like this, which was very traumatic for me. Very, very horrible. I never felt like I had a friend in my mother. I never felt like I had a companion or someone or a real mother to protect me. Never felt that. Felt like I was constantly going on my mother's nerves. So, and of course, that feeling was triggered by that event at that party. So luckily there was another guy who was also living with them in the same house, who was also at the center, and guy from Canada who could see that I was having a real hard time with this, and I told him, and I cried on his shoulder, and he said, come on, we'll go in my room, you can talk about this. And I thought that was very, very cool and sweet and wonderful of him. And I felt welcomed by him. He was the only one who made me feel welcomed. And I really deeply appreciate that. So I just talked to him in his room for a while, and then I thanked him for listening. And we always did this buddy sessions, where we sit for each other when one is feeling terrible. So that is something that we took with us from primal therapy, that we could always use as a tool to help each other, we learned also how to be listening to the other person, and when to ask a question, and where to be silent and just listening with compassion, and all of this. So we learned all of these technicalities that will also come naturally, because when we have compassion, we have that naturally, of course. So and Pierre had that naturally too. So that was very nice of him. Okay, and that made me feel so much better. I felt like I was gonna plunge into an abyss. So I cried, and I talked about this, and I told him that of course, it ties back down to my childhood with my mother and all of that. Not being welcomed, just be going on someone's nerves, and always feeling like I'm imposing on someone. It's a terrible feeling, horrible. So then I left, and I went home, and I should have never come back to Michelle, because I could tell that I was going on her nerves. So today, when I feel like I'm going on someone's nerves, I leave that person alone. I don't come back and say what's going on and all of that. Not as someone who doesn't have any other reason to say hi. I would only do this if something else is involved in that situation, if there's an animal or person involved in that situation that needs attention or medical attention, or that needs help or someone looking after them, then I would contact that other third person to find out what's going on. And we should, then we should put this other thing, the worry about what they think of us, that's not, that doesn't matter at all when it has to do with that the other living being involved in that situation. That is the reason why I contact someone. I say, I haven't talked to you in a while, and I don't know what's going on, but I just wanted to hear, how is this animal or that person doing? I'm not there locally. I can't do anything to help, but I just wanted to hear how they are doing. So, and that's a different situation. That's doing something for someone. Then I don't feel like I'm imposing so much. Same with the whale petitions in LA. When I was petitioning in front of the stores, I would always have this funny feeling when I go shopping by myself, or particularly by myself. When I went with someone else like Paul, then I didn't feel like I was imposing so much. I felt like we had strengths in numbers, just we were two, and we felt a little bit more socially confident just because we were two. Being alone in public among strangers makes me feel like I'm imposing. It's like I feel like they think, what is she doing here? Who is that? And what does she want? And I've gotten so many negative stares when I went shopping. In general, also with Paul, but I felt more safe with Paul. There were moments where people looked at me with hatred, and I would ask Paul to hold my hand in the store, and I would cry right there in the store because of the way I was treated. I was often treated with extreme hatred from people who hated me for my skin color. And it's the truth. Particularly in Los Angeles, this happened, and it was very, very painful. But then a black boyfriend explained this to me and the psychology behind this, and that made me feel a lot better, and I thank him for that. So, but it doesn't feel good, to be hated by anyone for any reason. So, does not feel good. It feels like I'm imposing and I better leave. So, all of these things are happening in society all the time with most people. Most people experience these kind of things and these kind of social fears, and there are people that don't even go shopping. They're very glad that we have the internet now and they do online shopping. They don't even go out of the house, and they don't even go among other people anymore at all. And they can now, because they can do that avoidance now. And I avoid it too, so as much as I can. And now with the pandemic, Paul doesn't even let me go into the store unless I really, really, really demand it and say, I have to this time, I have to, I want to, I need to get something. But it's not very often. And then I have to put gloves on, and I have to put a mask on, and he wants me to wear eyeglasses as well, or sunglasses, because he's afraid that the particles will get into my eyes, and he wears glasses. He does all of this, and then he said he wishes he hadn't given away his gas mask, and he would go into the store with this rubber gas mask on that makes him look like a Great Dane or like a Great Dane from outer space. And I said, well, I could definitely not do this. I would, the drawing that kind of attention to yourself. And then I really would feel like I'm imposing, and I feel humiliated. And this all was already humiliating enough, to wear those face masks and all of this, and particularly the one that he got me. But at least the pattern is kind of nice on the outside. But it has those air filters on the side, and that's already a notch more complex than the regular ones. And I always feel a little bit uneasy, but I go, oh well, I gotta put that aside. Our health and safety is more important. But I always have this feeling of I feel stared at, and I see it. I see people stare at me. They do. I don't know why. I'm not the only fat person in the world, particularly not in this community here. So I thought I'd blend in, but then again, the other people, the other women, they don't have a haircut like I have. So and I usually don't wear makeup. So I put makeup on today. I felt like doing it. I usually don't do it. I also wanted to talk about that too. Like, when I was putting makeup on, I realized, most women do this every day, and they spend much more time in front of the mirror, and they have way more products that are full of chemicals. I only use natural products, make most of them myself. I actually also made my own mascara, because what I did is I used a charcoal capsule. Like, energized charcoal, willow charcoal or something, and you just mix that together with oil, and that's it. You got your mascara. You put that into the mascara bottle, and you put that brush into it, and you squish that into the brush, and you brush that on your eyelashes like this. But of course it's not waterproof or anything, so that will, if I cry, this will come flowing down right away, or if it rains. So, but it's all natural, which is better, and I think I like it. I like the way it looks, I like the way it feels. I like natural things. So, but I was wondering, why do women put makeup on, so, and then the society, then everyone in that society at that particular time in history, when they're following this one particular standard of dressing and hairdo and makeup and all of this. And this always goes to complete irrational levels, particularly for women. You can see that throughout history, how the hairdos of women and the hats and all the accessories and all that stuff, that constantly have to buy new, and they have to keep up with the fashion and with the trends and all of this fuss that people are doing, like, all the time. And then I thought, why? Because now if a woman is seen without makeup, then men will immediately conclude she must be a dyke. And this is real sad. There was a woman in Texas, it was on the news, a woman in Texas walking on the street, a gorgeous looking woman, but she wasn't wearing makeup. A gorgeous red-headed woman with long hair, gorgeous face, Scandinavian face, but without makeup. When Scandinavian type of faces, I have Scandinavian in my face as well. I have I think 10% or something Scandinavian in my DNA. So, but it's not the case with me when I don't wear makeup. I'm not completely, I don't look like an albino, of course, because I have brown eyebrows and dark brown eyebrows and dark brown eyelashes and dark brown irises also, which comes from the Bantu and the Pacific Islander way back, 100 generations back. But that still made it through all of these years, of course. But that makes me not look like I'm an albino. And I think there's nothing wrong with a Scandinavian woman without makeup looking more like an albino, with the real light blonde eyebrows and eyelashes and light iris and completely white face, like people in Norway or Sweden or Finland in particular. And I find it very, very beautiful. But apparently men, when they see a woman like that without makeup on, they come to this, they have their labels immediately. They come to this to this assumption she must be a dyke, a dyke, which is a real mean word. I was accused of being a dyke just recently. So, because because I have short hair, it's like, you have short hair, you must be a dyke. There's no other way around it. So you have no makeup on, you must live with your wife. Yeah, 2 wives. So you must be a dyke lesbian or something, or whatever. These people will come with those excuses, and I've already heard that people say that in high school a long time ago, even in Germany, and it's so homophobic and so it's so bigoted and so wrong, all of this. It's also sexist, but they come to they have these stereotypical ideas about how a woman's face is supposed to be, before they even had makeup. Like, let's say 500 years ago in Europe, they didn't have makeup. All women were looking albinish and pale, and there's nothing wrong with it. Today, a woman without makeup, you must be a dyke. And so this real sad story of this redhead lady in Texas. There was a man, some kind of right-wing guy, like a criminal, right-wing kind of guy. He saw her without makeup, and he got mad at her and beat her up. I think she had to be hospitalized for not wearing makeup. Yeah, I was on OK Cupid, and I showed a photo of me without makeup, and there was this one guy, a real mean asshole guy. He took offense to something I said because, he took terrible offense because he felt personally offended. I'm not going to get into the details, and I didn't mean to offend him. So he felt like, I felt such hostile energy from him, like he wanted to beat me up too. And then he said, "You look like a homely woman. You better put some fucking makeup on." And that was pretty much the end of that conversation. And so I see, there are people that are extremely volatile, and they come to these conclusions, and they feel personally rejected and all of that, and they need to retaliate, and they feel they're real mad at a woman without makeup. And one time there was this one, I'm not going to mention names, there was an actor lady. I think she wasn't wearing makeup, and she was kind of upset about certain men, and she said something. She was outspoken about it, a sensitive person. And then they all got mad at her, real mad. They all every man felt personally offended by her criticizing other men, because obviously they were thinking in the same way as those men that she was criticizing. And then later on, she was on a talk show and had, I don't know, showed cleavage and made herself real Playboy look, with lots of makeup and everything, like she had been in front of the mirror all day long, just totally styled up and sexy, but like not naturally. So, and I don't know, she may even have had a boob implant done, looked like it, and showing skin and being flirtatious in that show. And then the comments under that video on YouTube from almost every man who said, okay, now I can forgive you. Now you're a good girl again. Now it's okay. Yeah, you're doing okay now. We're all happy now. They had their orgasm and now they're happy and they don't feel offended anymore, because now she is styled up again and dolled up and makeup full force and all of that. And when I read these comments, when any feminist reads those comments, I mean, it just it is so infuriating. It's so inflammatory, for us to read comments like that, that indicate that those men, they can only feel okay about a woman when she is completely conform with society's standards and society's specific way of styling herself and makeup and all of those things. And well, first of all, I want nothing to do with men like that, who think like this. Those type of objectifications. So a man who does that kind of objectification, I feel like there's nothing going on in their brains, in their skulls, if they have this type of objectification going on, of depersonalization also, like the woman has to be conform with this type of looks. And I've seen it many times on under my videos, that a guy would suddenly say, "Oh, I didn't know you're actually pretty," after I put the mascara on. When I was wearing mascara in a video and I was making a giggly video with my papa dog, and the guy would suddenly comment, "Oh, you're actually pretty. I didn't even know that. Now that you put the mascara," he didn't even know. I didn't know why I was suddenly pretty. He wasn't thinking about that. It was because of the mascara. But it's so unconscious. Also, that statement is so, it's disrespectful and sexist and unconscious. To say, "Oh, I didn't even know you were pretty. Now I see you are pretty. The next video I make, I'm not so pretty anymore again. Oh, I'm not wearing the mascara." This is also, and then some women, they put fake eyelashes on it, and then they're turned up and they go like this, and they're like, Kardashian style. And it's just, yes, it's pretty, but it is not who we women are, okay? That's not what and that's why I don't do it. I don't spend my money on that kind of stuff. I don't waste my time on that kind of stuff, because my message to the world is, we are equals, we are equals, and we have equally much to contribute mentally to the world, and we should not be objectified in that way that orders us into this type of how do I say this? This type of niche of existence, you know, where our only function is to be seen and not be heard. But today we're also seen with our articles that we have written, because they can't be heard here, right? They have to also be seen nowadays. So our articles that we write and our comments and our thought contributions, they're out there in written form and they are seen, hopefully. But they also don't want to be seen. I mean, by men don't want to see them. So my article wants to be seen, but the man does not want to see my articles. So they want to objectify, you know, they want to put us into a category. And I also show my girliness and bubbliness and my hormonal side as well, because we are also that, okay, and we also are all of that, okay. It's not just masculine women who write good articles, okay. It's also feminine women who write good articles, and I want to emphasize on that. So all of these things, I see these stereotypicalizations, I don't know what the word is for that, but, you know, stereotyping, you know, like seeing things either in this way or that way. Someone's either this or that. If you are this way, then you can't be this way. And it's like putting, if you are a Democrat, you can't have a conservative view. It's this type of thinking. If you are a real girly girl, you ought to be modeling yourself after the Kardashians, and you better be seen and not heard, and not have your articles seen either. So it's this type of thinking, this type of ordering certain things into categories, okay, and that is a very, very unwell and insane and unsane and neurotic way of looking at the world. That is like a knee-jerk indoctrination type of reaction to certain things. Yeah. And it's very sad for me to see all of this, and I think it's important to talk about it and to meditate on it in these videos, to, you know, share my thoughts on it and my criticism on society. I think it's very, very important, and bring more clarity to people's own minds, and let people go into this themselves in a meditation and ask some questions that will dig in a little bit deeper. Why do you have to think that a woman needs to be dressed up like the Kardashians? Obviously, that wasn't the case 100 years ago, before the Kardashian era, right? At the turn of the century into 1900, when my grandmother was born, she would be very old now. Oh my gosh, she'd be, I don't know, how old? She would be 120. No, yeah, that's what she would be. Oh my gosh. She died young. It's very sad. So that was a completely different era. They were not looking like this. They had a completely different way of styling themselves. I'm not saying that is less neurotic. That's just also very neurotic. And they were wearing very uncomfortable shoes. They didn't have high-tech shoes like we have today. I wear MBT shoes that are very, very comfortable, and Skechers and all these rocker bottom shoes. They're very, very comfortable, and that's what I like. I like futuristic clothes. I like to not wear makeup. Sometimes I like to wear makeup. I am girly, I'm feminine, I'm also a rebel at the same time. All of this goes against the role attribution of society. It still does, even in the era of feminism and futurism and high technology and all of this. We still see this going on with the majority of men in particular. There are some women too that are bigoted, but I noticed that this is way happening more with men, because they're living in this pressure cooker of shame and pride that they were drilled into, and they live in this constant fear of social rejection. So they have this knee-jerk reaction of commenting and letting people look straight into their brains in that. And that's kind of what they wanted to avoid, but they do the knee-jerk commenting. And then we can look into their brains because of this panic reaction to certain things. It's almost like they feel, it's almost a little bit schizophrenic. It goes to that point where they actually feel like a video has dug deep into their psyche, and now they have to defend themselves out of their neurotic ways of thinking, or they catch themselves being attracted to an overweight woman, and then they almost feel like people have psychic ability to see them. I wouldn't see them unless they commented, right? A lot of men don't comment also because of that. It's also not good. But then there are men who will defend themselves before there was even any need to defend themselves, and then no one is even attacking them. And particularly not attacking them for liking a chubby woman, but they think society does, because that there are other ones that also feel ashamed, and they will attack another man for liking a chubby woman, and they will say, you have no standards, but I have standards. I go by appearance. And that statement alone is like when I see someone say that, well, thank you for letting me have an insight into the male brain, right? So it helps me. All of this helps me putting the puzzle pieces together. But they feel so ashamed that they actually goes to a paranoia where they feel like someone else can see them lust after the chubby woman and then criticize them and shame them for it. So before they were even seen by anyone, they will write this hasty comment and say, no, I don't like that bitch, that fat whale. I have standards, right? I don't even know where to get started with that, because why do we need standards? First of all, what are the standards for? To keep a neurosis going, to perpetuate extreme neurosis, shame, and pride, right? Can we just dissolve that? Dismantle shame, pride, and neurosis, and the fear of social rejection and fear of humiliation. It is in men. It is so off the charts that it's absolutely mind-boggling. Way worse than in women. Way worse. We react basically to their neurotic knee-jerk reactions. We react out with our fear of being rejected by them because of their fear of being rejected by their peer groups, by the man cave friends that they have. They're afraid of being rejected by their man cave friends. Men are mostly afraid of being humiliated by men. Okay. More even than the fear of rejection from a woman. That's really, really intense too. So then they feel demasculinized if they're rejected by a woman. And particularly if they're rejected by a woman they desire, and which is the woman who is socially disrespected. All of this loops itself into such extreme neurotic levels that it just keeps perpetuating itself into a more and more insane neurotic level. This has to be dismantled. Okay, dismantle it. Become a natural person and accept the dorky lady without the makeup. And if you don't have any fantasy and any imagination at all, then at least give her a chance and then put some makeup on her face. The dorky lady without self-esteem, for example. Put some makeup on her, then you can see that she is I don't like the word competitive, but that she is also pretty in this way when she, it's like just because a woman looks a little bit more albinish, that doesn't mean she's not pretty or she's not cool or socially acceptable or up to date or hot or whatever. No, she's a natural person. There are some women that like to be natural people, that don't want to have to conform to all of these role model activity, these role attribution activities of dolling themselves up just so that they can be seen as women, as straight women, as girly women. So all of this is ridiculous, so ridiculous and so neurotic, and it needs to be thrown out. Okay? I can't stand it. So we are pretty with or without makeup, and we are deserving of love, and I had to do an affirmation when I woke up thinking about that party again where that guy was so mean to me. It brings up deep pain from the past, from childhood. And And I had to do an affirmation of kissing my wrist and my skin. Just like I kiss the dog or the horse. Nicola, you are precious too. You're a lonely horse too. You are a pony too. You are a doggy too. You are a precious living being too. You know, I had to say to myself, with wrinkles, and you are a precious living being too. You know. You precious living being too. And also now it will get very interesting when we all get older, and there's the internet still, and we're still making videos, and we're getting older. Okay, then we're gonna be really judged. Some women might go, I better not make videos anymore, or I show something else. I'm not gonna show my face anymore. It's too embarrassing. Or, you know, they come from a history of being photo models or being, you know, in the entertainment business and all of this, and for them it becomes extra hard. Many of them go under the knife. That's a real violation of your body to do that. That's a violation on all levels, to go under the knife. It's, first of all, it's horror movie. It is brutal. Okay, that's not self-love. That's not self-respect. Okay. And also psychologically, it is a violation against yourself if you go under the knife. And I can't respect any plastic surgeon. Okay, I cannot respect these people. If you're a plastic surgeon, I'm sorry. I cannot. We can't be friends. Okay, it's not gonna happen. So this is, you're catering to, you're mutilating people. You're cutting people up. That's almost as bad as a serial killer. You know, that's and it makes the world worse. You know, it just it contributes to people's neurosis, and it contributes to BDD, body dysmorphic disorder, which is a mental illness where people see themselves always as ugly, no matter what. That's a real severe mental illness. Okay, and we can heal that thing. You know, we can heal it. There's a trauma behind it. You dissolve the trauma, you heal it. Okay? That means you have to step out of society. You have to step out of that bar, of that friendship circle. You have to step out of that circle that you are in right now. That circle is not good for you. Okay? Stick figure in a circle on a piece of paper. The stick figure is sticking its leg outside, like this, outside of that circle. You get out of that circle. You question that circle. Okay. And you become a natural person. Okay. And you will find a natural boyfriend. And you will find natural good friends, so that don't drink alcohol, that don't have to show off their Chevrolet Stingrays or Camaro or whatever. I've seen all of this. Trust me, I've seen it all. Or their other more expensive race cars, or their Ferraris. Step out of that circle, you know, step out. That's toxic. It's not serving you. It is not good for you. It's unhealthy. Okay, so peace and love for all living beings.